The last session, we have learned how to clone the project and how to switch the branch using the git checkout command. In this session, we will be creating a remote repository in the GitHub. We will be cloning that repository. We will be adding a new project into that repository, and we'll be pushing the project to the GitHub. Let's see. Let's create a GitHub repository. Let's go to the GitHub and create a repository. So I have my GitHub account. So I'll be creating a repository actually. I'll be going to my profile. I'll be creating a repository. So if you want to create a repository, just click on new. Click on new. So here you have to give the repository name. So I'll be giving the repository name as first Spring Boot repo. Okay, first Spring Boot repo. This is the repository name. Okay, so in this repository, I'll be creating multiple projects. Okay, so this is the, let me write the description. This is the sample Spring Boot repository where you will find the real-time examples. You'll find the real-time examples, real-time coding examples, And I want to keep this repository as a private, so anyone can able to access this over the internet. And if you want to add any file, so you can add the readme file as well if you want. And you have to ignore, so you have to add a git ignore file. So I want to ignore. As of now, I don't want to ignore anything. Let me ignore from the Maven itself. Okay. So here the license. So don't need, as of now, we don't need to buy any license actually. So that's fine. So we don't need any license as of now. So let's create a repository. So the repository will be created. Okay. So how to clone this repository? So this is the command to clone the repository. This is the URI actually. This is the URI, and you have to use this, these are the commands you have to add the, or like, you have to add the remote repository to your, local, and you can start working on that repository. Okay. Fine. Yep. So let me go. Let me add the remote repository. Okay. So let me copy this command. First, let me clone this repository first. Let me clone this repository and let me add the origin. Okay, origin in the sense like where you want to push your code changes. That is nothing but origin. Let me go to my local. So here I want to open terminal, not no. Git bash I'll open. Not a terminal. Right click on the explorer and click on the open git bash here. Okay, just click on that. So it will open the git bash over here. So now what you will do is, so you'll be in order to like make this new Spring Boot workspace, new SB workspace as a Git workspace. So what you have to do is you have to initialize a repository. You have to use a git init command to initialize the Git repository. So now when you initialize this one, so the particular folder, new SB workspace, will become the Git repository. So here you will be tracking all the changes. Okay. So when you initialize, when you use git init command, so it will be creating a .git folder in your local. In our case, so the .git folder is created over here. Okay. So now what we have to do is we have to, clone the repository. So what is the URI we have? So this is the URI. Let me copy that URI. Okay. So now I'll say git clone, and I have to add paste the URI which I want to clone, the project which I want to clone. Hit enter. So that project will be downloaded to your workspace. Okay. So once it is downloaded, so now you have to see it is downloaded here. So once it is downloaded, what you have to do is you have to get inside this one. So there is nothing over here in first Spring Boot repo. There is nothing over here. What you have to do is you have to copy the project which you want to, share it to the, which you want to add it to the remote repository. Just copy this first Spring Boot API, Control C or copy, and over here just go and paste it. So you pasted the first ESB API. So now let's get inside this one. Let's get inside this one. So here we if you want to see the directories which are residing inside this new ESB workspace, so just type dir. So it will show the directories, first SB API directory and first Spring Boot repo. Now we want to switch to the first Spring Boot repo. Okay, first Spring Boot repo. First Spring Boot repo we want to switch. FIRS first Spring Boot repo. Correct. So okay, so let me copy it. I might have written some spelling mistakes. Let me copy that. So I'll say CD paste. So now we need to switch it. So we are switching it. Okay. Currently we are pointing to the main branch. So you can see over here in your kit. So when you create a repository, so by default it will create a main branch. So if you want to create your own branch, you can create your own branch. Okay. So how you will do that? Let me go to this repo. Shoes. So I want to create a new Git repository. Okay. Let me create a new Git repository. You can see over here, if I click on the first Spring Boot repo, so if I click on this first Spring Boot repo, so I can see that the main is, it's by default, it is created. Now what you have to do is if you want to create a branch, so you have to type over here, what is like what branch you want to create. So for example, let's say I want to create a feature branch. So I'll say feature Spring Boot data JPA branch. I am creating it. Okay. So I'll be creating a Spring Boot data JPA branch. So I've created the Spring Boot data JPA branch. So you can see that. So currently I am in the Spring Boot data JPA branch. Okay. So now I have to log in my local, I am in the branch called main. Now I want to switch the branch. I want to work on the feature uh, Spring Boot data JPA branch. So now what I'll do is I'll copy this branch and I'll check out to this branch. I'll change that, switch the branch. So we have a command to switch the branch, right? So what is the command? So here we have discussed yesterday, right? Git checkout branch name -b. Here we will be providing the branch name. So here branch name is feature Spring Boot data JPA. This is our branch. So we are switching the branch from our main branch to, we are switching the branch from main branch to our new branch. Okay. So now let's paste it over here. So here we are switching from main branch to feature Spring Boot data JPA branch. So now when I click on the enter, it is saying that it will give a message switching the branch to and switch to a new branch, feature Spring Boot data JPA. Now currently you are in this branch. Okay. So now if we want to check the status of the now forgot to tell one more point. Now in this branch, what you have to do is you have to add your code changes to this branch only, and whatever the code changes you will be adding it, you'll be committing these code changes. Once you commit the code changes, you will be pushing to the repository as well. So this is the repository where you are going to push the code changes. Okay. Now come over here. Now what we are doing is like we will be checking the status. checking the status. So you can see, right? So we have a one file to add. So we'll be adding this file in the next session. Okay. Until then, thank you for watching. Yeah, I can give an overview actually what we have discussed actually. We have created a branch, we have created a repository in the GitHub, and we have cloned this repository, and we have after cloning this repository, so we have created a new branch when we have switched to the branch, and now we are about to add this first SB API to the this feature branch. We'll be doing that in the next session. Thank you.